What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode. I'm your boy Swiper Cam. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you having a great day. Hope you got a chance to re-watch that great game two from the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. You got to see two elite level basketball guards, on-ball creators go at it yesterday in one of the best matchups of the postseason so far. Y'all, I'm not even going to hold you. That was a really, really good game. I have gone back and I've watched the game. I looked at a lot of the highlights. I've gone back and watched Murray, Jokic, Anthony Edwards. I've gotten back and watched some of the sets that everybody was running yesterday, man. It was a really incredible performance all the way around yesterday. That third quarter, man, was crazy. It was really bad for the Denver Nuggets, but it was excellent for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the Wolves, they can take some things away from that quarter and say that, look, if we do some things right, we show up on defense and we shore up certain things on defense, maybe we can take a game when they come to Minnesota on Friday and on Sunday. And if you're the Denver Nuggets, you're like, look, we won 7 of the 8 quarters, and we've been dominant in 7 of the 8 quarters. We've been the better team 7 of the 8 quarters, and we let go of the rope for 1 quarter. So we just need to take care of business. We need to win at least 3 quarters, if not all 4, and we need to put the foot down real soon, real early, because game 3, as I said, is going to be the most difficult. But we'll have a preview episode that will go up tomorrow as well. So once again, shout out if you're here through the Swiper Gang side. Shout out to if you're here through the Mile High Sports side. Make sure you subscribe to Mile High Sports. Make sure you subscribe to the Swiper Gang Network as well. But y'all, what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of talk about the 2 performances we saw yesterday. One from Anthony Edwards, and the other one from Jamal Murray. Now, I'm not going to hold y'all. There's something about Murray that when he plays against good to elite level guards that are really good scorers, he always rises to the occasion. He rises to the occasion and he decides that I'm not going to let nobody outshoot me. And down the stretch of the 4th quarter, more times than not, I feel like I'm going to outgun you as well. Now, what was the interesting thing is that Murray started off the game crazy. Jamal Murray started off 14 points in the 1st quarter. And it felt like, hey, remember those Murray flurries that we've seen for all these years? Jamal Murray, he got it going on. He's back. He looks good. He's being aggressive. The jump shot is falling. But one of the things that I think a lot of people, if you don't watch the Denver Nuggets, one of the things about Jamal Murray that makes him so tantalizing is that when he is in those modes, there are so many things that he's doing so well. And a lot of it starts when his pick and roll with Nikola Jokic, but it's also the fact that he's so good at creating space between him and the nearest defender. And he's so good coming off of screens as well. So even if he's off ball, his off ball shooting, it takes a peak in the playoff. When he's on ball, his on ball creation. What do I mean by on ball creation? So he had Nikhil Alexander Walker, where he basically came down and around on the right side. He got Nikhil, got him overcommitted going downhill, gave him a 1 dribble, turn around over that right shoulder, fade away mid-range shot. Nikhil Alexander like poked him in the face or something. And Jamal Murray shot the shot, got hit in the face, and then he pointed at Nikhil as he was going down the court. And then you got Jamal Murray versus Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is trying to trail. Jokic sets a crazy good screen. Then Jamal, he's able to pop back out, sidestep, step back, 3-pointer, good. We're going to switch Michael Conley on you. Mike Conley can't hold you, so we're going to get into the drop coverage. Come off the screen, step back, Rudy Gobert, 3. Mike Conley come on you again, screen, step back, go up, create space, snake, Chris Paul, fade away to the right. Yeah. Jamal, today ESPN, they put a stat out from Second Spectrum, basically over the last 10 years, the 3 most dominant guard performances versus drop coverage. Number 1 was Chris Paul versus Nikola Jokic in the 2021 playoff. And y'all, I think y'all remember that game, bro. That was that game where Chris Paul made like 6 straight mid-range shots. It was like in the second half too, man. Like Chris Paul would not miss. And they were already struggling with Facu and Monte Morris, Will Barton, and Shaq Harrison, and the team wasn't as good. Jokic was exhausted from the bubble. The drop coverage wasn't working, all that stuff. And Jokic was getting flat out done in on that drop coverage. And Chris Paul had 21 points scored versus drop coverage. Incredible. But you know what the next 2 following best drop coverage performances are the last 10 years? Jamal Murray, 2020 bubble versus, you guessed it, Rudy Gobert. And then Jamal Murray this year, game 2, 2023, he scored 20 points versus drop coverage. 20 points. Now, what's so funny about Jamal? When you think of drop coverage in the NBA, you think of Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, you think of Chris Paul, you think of players like even maybe a James Harden to some degree, at least the old James Harden. But you don't think about Jamal. But Jamal has shown, like especially in the playoffs, that he is one of the most elite guards in the NBA versus drop coverage because of the way his bag is so heavy. And again, I know there's like some hedgy tween bag Twitter kind of thing, but I'm being serious. Like Jamal's ability to create space off the dribble and to navigate screens and also to dictate angles from the defender, whether it's dictating the guard. So if he's coming up, he gets you in close and then backs out and then snakes around the screen. And then he's so able to do the hesitation, to do the crossovers, or to do the hesitation step back, and then even a pump fake, get back to his spot. Like he has so many things that he's able to do. And as a defense, again, Jamal Murray, y'all got to remember 2020, 2021, right before the ACL injury, he shot 82% at the rim. Yeah, a guard. 82% at the rim. So he's not hitting that kind of efficiency yet. But the thing is though, he has the ability to do it. But when you're playing versus him, you're like, all right, I don't want to just give him an open 3, but I also don't want to get so close to where he gets by me. And then on top of that, the thing with the Nuggets is that they have the ability to, when Murray gets by you, Porter, corner, KCP, corner, Gordon, dunker spot, and then obviously Nikola Jokic, either on that short roll for that little dump off that Murray didn't give him a lot of those yesterday, or on the little pop out behind his head, and Jokic at the 3-point line, whether he can just shoot that or whether he's going to do the pump fake, get to the rim, try to slow-mo it, lay. So the things is that there are so many options offensively with just the drop coverage action, just that from Jamal Murray. So the good thing is that you're playing Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. They have no choice but to play drop coverage. Now, this is going to be like the epitome, I think, of a Jamal Murray series. And I think now people are seeing that this is what you can expect to see in the series because Jamal Murray is just that elite versus drop coverage. And on top of that, you don't have a choice because if you don't play drop, then you're basically going to get him switched out onto a big, and you're going to give Jokic a point guard or a guard. So it's going to be Conley, Taurean Prince, or Anthony Edwards switching out on Jokic, and you're done. Or you're going to get Jamal Murray versus Karl Anthony Towns or Rudy Gobert. And you saw yesterday Rudy Gobert got switched out onto him, and he just did one of his little patches, dribble, fall asleep, pull up, 3-pointer in your face. So really, it's been incredible. And I want to show y'all, this is what Jamal Murray has done through 2 games so far. These are Jamal Murray's stats through 2 games. So far in the playoffs, in the series, Jamal Murray is averaging 32 points per game, 6.5 assists per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, and he's shooting 50% from the field, 50% from 3, and 91% from the free throw line, y'all. 50, 50, 90, and he's a plus 25 so far in just 2 games. And he's playing 36 minutes a game. Remember, he played 39 last night. I think he played 28 or something like that, or 31 rather, the night before. 32 points, 6.5 assists. Now, again, his usage is fairly high especially in the playoff, because that's typically what you're going to get from Jamal because he's going to be on the ball so often. And so Jokic's numbers are going to fluctuate because of how involved Jamal Murray is in the offense. But that's a good thing because you want Jokic to be able to carry the load down the stretch as much as possible, and obviously Maul as well. But it's okay if Jamal is able to take some of the burden off. So again, 32, 6.5, and 5.5. He's taking 22 shots a game. That's insane. So remember, he had the 24, 8-8 game to start the series. Then he had a 45 or 43-5 game in game 2. But this is what I love, y'all, right here. Y'all see that? He's shooting 10 3-point attempts per game. 10 3-point attempts per game. That's humongous. That diametrically changes the way the Nuggets offense functions. Because Jamal Murray is going to give you that much work, and he's going to make you guard out on a 3-point line that often. Hey, man, it's only coming up from here. It's only coming up from there. I think that it makes their offense that much more unguardable for the fact that Jamal Murray is making himself that much of a threat on the perimeter. Because now the way you deal with Jokic and Gordon and Porter and KCP and Bruce Brown and Christian Brown and Jeff Green, which is your top 8, and then if you get into Vlaco Chanchar, DeAndre Jordan, or Peyton Watson, however you want to structure that, when you do that, that puts so much pressure on the defense to have to contend with everything he does. Because if he's shooting 50% from 3, and again, y'all, I already put this out. I put this out on, yesterday actually, because I was trying to help illustrate like how good Jamal Murray is playing so far in the playoffs. And he's been incredible, man. Like, Jamal Murray mentioned yesterday in his press conference that he doesn't love that people are calling him Bubble Murray, but the reason he doesn't love it is just because this is who I am. Like, I'm not a split player. Like, I ball in the playoff, period. I'm giving people work. And Jamal's right, because I went and looked it up. So here's Jamal Murray, y'all. This is Jamal Murray's last 21 playoff games. Go ahead and read that. Go ahead and read that, y'all. Last 21 playoff games for Jamal Murray. 27 points, 6.6 assists, 4.9 rebounds, 1 steal, 46% from 3, 53% from 2, 89.9% from the free throw line with a 63% true shooting. Wow. That's incredible. Remember, there's 2 playoff runs in between this that you didn't get to see him play. So you have to go back to the bubble in 2020 to get these last 21 playoff games. And the thing that we're seeing now is people were suspecting like, well, maybe the bubble was just a fluke. I've seen plenty of Jamal Murray or bubble haters that have said that, well, look at what TJ Warren was doing in the bubble. Clearly, that's not actually how players are playing and performing. But then if you go to this year already, 32, 6.5, 5.5, it goes to show you, like, look, that might have been the start of something, as Jamal said, but that dang sure wasn't the end. That wasn't the end of my story. That wasn't the end of my journey. That wasn't the end of my peak. So I'm really encouraged by that, man. And I think that's really important to evaluate when you're having discussions about Jamal Murray, because I think that fundamentally changes the way that people are able to look at Jamal Murray. We got a super chat already. Super chat, watch me squat. Thanks for the content, getting close to 10,000. Hey, I appreciate that. I realized that, covering the Denver Nuggets, covering the Denver Broncos, you kind of know what it is. And, there's a segment of the population that enjoys this content. I'm going to, like today, y'all, I had a whole press conference for work. It was a really heavy day for my career. And then I come here to talk to you all and deal this with you because I love doing the swiping stuff. Like, I genuinely want to do this full time, and I want to be able to give you full time NBA and NFL content. But I'm still having to to take care of, some stuff that, the rest of y'all do, during the day in order to do this. So this is definitely the goal for sure. So I appreciate it. Shout out for the super chat. Means a lot. But now let's get to Anthony Edwards. Can Anthony Edwards ain't no slouch? He is absolutely not no slouch, y'all. This is Anthony Edwards through the first 2 games of this series. 29.5 points per game. 4.5 assists, 2 rebounds, and he's shooting 52.6 from the field, 50% from 3, 85.7% from the line. Now, the difference between Jamal and Ant, and this is the function of the teams they're on, I think more so than anything else, Ant's a minus 15 so far. And y'all, I'm not going to lie, at the end of the series, especially if the Nuggets take care of business in Minnesota, I mean, Ant could end the series with a minus 40. Just because, as good as he can play and as good as he might play, the minutes playing against those Nugget starters, man, that's just a behemoth to try to overcome. But Anthony Edwards is a special player, man. His quickness, his size, his strength. And again, there are so many people that have already said, dude, Anthony Edwards can absolutely be an MVP caliber player one day. And I fully believe it. And I buy into that. I support that. I think he's that freaking good. But I think the thing is that Anthony Edwards presents the Nuggets with different challenges because he has the ability to beat their scheme. Right now, the Nuggets are doing the best they can to keep the Timberwolves out of the paint. They're doing the best they can to keep them out of the paint. And like I said, outside of that third quarter, they've done a really good job of doing that. But yesterday, they were just getting attacked going downhill. But a lot of that was simply because, again, the Wolves, they have no choice but to try to force the issue. And I think they had 15 transition points in the end of the second quarter and in the fourth quarter, or the end of the second quarter and then into the second half. I don't think the Nuggets had a transition point in the second half, which goes to show you how to game for real change and adjust it. But we went over this a little bit yesterday with the Denver Nuggets. The shooting at the rim, the Wolves were able to shoot 19 of 27. That's up from the 14 attempts they had. So the Wolves made a much more concerted effort. They got basically double the shot attempt at the rim as they did the game before. Here, I'm going to go ahead and show y'all this because I don't know if y'all like watching the cleaning the glass and stuff, but I want to make sure y'all can actually read the stuff that I'm showing you. So all this is cleaning the glass. You just go to stats, and then you go to game, and then you just go to the previous day, and then it will show you this, and it gives you the offensive ratings and the defensive ratings allowed. How did each team score per 100 possession, and then it gives you the shooting variances and how often did a team shoot at the rim, how often did they shoot from mid range, and then how often did they shoot, meaning their shot diet. So the Nuggets, 23% of their shots were from 3, 38 was from mid range, and then 39 was at the rim. That shows you their shot distribution. So they were much heavier in the mid-range than the Minnesota Timberwolves were. When you see the frequency here, the 11% difference here, the 11% difference here, and they were even here. The Nuggets shot 71% at the rim. The Minnesota Timberwolves shot 70%. The Nuggets shot 43.8% from midi. That's not bad at all. And then they shot 47.6% from 3. But again, it's this right here that they had 31 attempts at the rim, and then they had 27 attempts. The Nuggets only drew 5 fouls, though, and this also goes into what we talked about with the foul discrepancy with Jokic. More shots at the rim, but 3 less fouls. So I think that stuff matters in the larger conversation. Now, there obviously needs to be context applied to that, because it's depending on how you shot at the rim, whether it be transition or whatever else it was. So I think Anthony Edwards is incredible, man. But the question that I have for the series is, who's going to be the better player for the rest of the series? Hopefully, if you're on the Denver Nuggets side for the next 2 games, if you're on the Wolves side for the next 4 games. So I think the thing is that for their teams, Anthony Edwards, I think, has to shoulder a little bit more. Well, let me not say this. They shoulder similar responsibility, but the difference is that Jamal Murray is your secondary playmaker who can also serve as your primary at times, depending on how he's functioning within the offense. But the thing is that Jamal Murray is playing next to the best player in the NBA for me. And with that comes there's a level of freedom within the offense and a level of gravity that Jokic is going to give you, just even based off the pick and rolls that Anthony Edwards is not going to see. But Karl Anthony Towns has been terrible through the first two games. Rudy Gobert is not an offensive engine, so he is not taking the only gravity he has is rim pressure, like meaning rim running, catching alley oops. Mike Conley, he can create gravity as a driver, but that's just as a floater. But that's still not a serious impact. Kyle Anderson, like really, Karl Anthony Towns is supposed to be the offensive engine that makes life easier for Ant. The problem is that you never know what you're going to get from Cat. And right now, Aaron Gordon's guarding him, and he is stronger than Cat, and he's also faster than Cat. So when Cat's on the perimeter, he can't just drive by him. But I will say this: AG's had 5 fouls in both of the games. So AG playing the 5. Now this is what I'll say. I think it's smart that Michael Malone playing AG at the 5 versus Cat. Matter of fact, I'm gonna stop there. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. So make sure y'all remind me if we come back to this tomorrow. I want to talk about Anthony Edwards. So Anthony Edwards, I think, has a larger role because of the level of help he has around him. Jamal, though, is playing with even really they're playing at similar efficiency. Jamal's better from the free throw. They're even from 3, and then Anthony Edwards is 2.6 points better from the field. But again, that all is from that last game that they had. Jamal's averaging more points a game. And I think he's taking a couple less shots, at least in the second game as well. So I think that those two can draw each other to almost even. But the advantage that Jamal's going to have is that his buckets, by nature of playing next to Jokic, could have more impact because of the fact that the starters are so freaking good, and then the Timberwolves starters are so average to bad so far. And I think player for player, both of them are going to have tremendous performances. But I think the thing is, but I think Jamal, if he had to operate as Anthony Edwards is, as like the sole creator, I think Jamal can still put up the numbers he's putting up. But we also have to add in the fact that he has Nikola Jokic playing next to him. But in the series, I mean, right now, y'all, just for fun, I looked up the advanced stats on Jamal. I just wanted to see what they look like, because he's just been playing like out of his mind just to start the year so far. And Jamal Murray, his advanced stats are crazy for the first 2 games. Now, again, small sample size, but again, it's just painting a picture for how elite he's actually been. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this just so y'all can see it as well. So his basketball reference, just type in Jamal Murray, and it'll take you right to it. My bad. Hold on. So Jamal Murray, I don't know why Nick Wright popping up on my screen. He definitely doesn't want to be a part of this conversation. Well, I guess we're hyping up Jamal, so he might. So just in the first 2 games, Jamal Murray at 29 PER, which is basically, that's an MVP level season. He has a PER 29, which again, that's 1 point behind Embiid for the regular season, basically. Like, he has a true shooting of 65.5, which is even better than the bubble run. He has a free throw rate of 25, which is very good. That's as high as he ever had. His usage, 33.5. Now, that's not Luka. That's not Embiid, but that's still fairly high. 33.5% usage. 30.33 win shares per 48, which basically is like, hey, you're having an all-time season. So if Jamal kept up this pace, he would have an all-time great like playoff performance, is what they're saying. And a box plus minus of 11.4. Meaning he's basically been Joker offensively regular season, and then he's been a massive plus defensively as well. So this just goes to show you that, again, this is only a 2-game sample size. These numbers will go down because as good as Jamal, I think, is. Like, this number right here from the bubble, that's an all NBA caliber, like PER and box plus minus right there. This number, this is an all-time great PER and box plus minus and all that stuff. So I don't think Jamal Murray is quite that good, but this just gives you an idea of how well he's been playing relative to the fact that, we're using the advanced stats. So I actually think that Jamal's numbers might end up being better, But I think that's a function of the fact that if you got to guard Jokic, you could just do whatever you want. And I think Jamal Murray is kind of in that Devin Booker lane where Devin Booker's incredible, but Devin Booker's even that much better when he has Kevin Durant on his roster. But I think Jamal Murray player for player. I think you can make an argument in the playoffs that he's better than Anthony Edwards. But I think the function of it is I think Jamal Murray can outplay Anthony Edwards, and that just bodes well for the fact that if Jokic is better than Anthony Edwards, obviously, and Jamal is better than Ant and Cat, they don't really have a chance. Because then, now you're having a conversation between Karl Anthony Towns and Michael Porter Jr. And Karl's been that bad that Michael, I think, has been better. That's the crazy thing. I think the Nuggets have 3 to 4 best players in the series, depending on where you want to put Rudy Gobert. So I'm really curious to see how the rest of the series continues to shake out. I'm really curious to see how the team continue to perform. I think that Jamal and Anthony Edwards probably have at least one more game in them where you're going to see like an extremely high level of basketball. And I think Jamal, I think he has something to prove to the world. Like, I haven't been here. You haven't seen me. I haven't made my mark. But now I'm good to go. I'm healthy. I'm strong. I'm feeling good. And I think that you have an opportunity to let the narrative be set straight. That I'm not one of the best bubble players. I'm one of the best playoff guards in the NBA. Period. We obviously will have the post-game breakdown after as well. Let me know what y'all think. Jamal Murray, Anthony Edwards, who do you think can be the best player between the two for the rest of the series? Piper gang, y'all know what time it is. I will catch y'all on the other side. See y'all soon. We out.